Hello everyone, good morning. Can anyone please confirm I'm audible or not? Yeah, okay then. Last class where we stopped. Okay, let me open our application, Codex 1. At the same time, let me open our diagram also. Yesterday we draw something right in the paint. Open that one also. This is the one. Yeah. Okay, how much part we completed? In the React side, we completed, we designed this template as well as we handled the click event and then how to take the data. Okay, you know that one. So that by using ref, you taken the data, just you keep the data like that only. Why? Because I actually have to send this data to why I want to store this data to my store. So the next thing what we did is you created a store. You created store by using which library? By using Redux library. So if I open our code here, see here I created one more folder called as a Redux store. Okay, here I created one file store.js. Now see this, by using one method, which method? Create store is the method. By using that method I created a store, so that this part also you completed. Okay, React part you completed, Redux part also you created the store. Now next level, what we have to do, what my React has to do. My React application or my React component has some data. That data I want to keep inside my store. I want to store it. I want to insert. I want to save it in the Redux store. If you want to store that particular Redux store, what you created, that should be available to my component or not. That should be available to my component. So if it is like only one component, I can make it available directly. But in my application, how many components are there? I don't know. Which component want to set the data? Which component want to store the data within the Redux store? I don't know. So that to which component you want me to make it available? All components do you want me to make it available? Okay, it's not a recommended way. So that what we can do? Okay, at application level, just make that storage available. Okay, if I make that storage available to my React application contains what? Components, so that any one of the component can store the data or not. So that once you created the store, the next level operation is like make that storage available to my application. Can anyone tell which component is pointing to your application? My app component or not? So at the time of loading my component, at the time of loading my root component, where is that? At the time of loading my root component, okay, this is my app. I want to make my store, what I created the store, I want to make my stories available to my app. So I want to provide my store to my application, okay, React application or not. So if you want to provide a store, we have one component is there that is coming from React Redux. Why? Because my store is like a Redux port. This one is like a React port. My React has to communicate with Redux, so that we have one more library is there. React Redux is the library. That library contains one of the component called as a provider, which is used to provide your store to my React application or not. So that first of all, you get that provided component from where? From my React Redux library. Once you get this one, this is similar to my context store. The context store provider component is there, right? There we are using value as an attribute key and make your data is available to my context. Same like this here. Instead of value, they use it like a store is a key. Store is a key. Which store you want me to make it available? Already my store. That store I want to make it available. That's it. Okay. Once the store provided to this particular provider, this provider is made that store is available to my app. Inside my app, how many components are there? Any component can communicate with the store or not to set or get the data. This is the one, two parts completed. Okay. Now my store is available to my React application, so that my React application or my React component can set the data within the store or not. Okay, now this guy, at the time of clicking on the submit button like this, can we run this application first? Okay, how you can run it? By using npm start is the command. Okay, here few components, which components I don't know, right? That's the reason I make the stories available to my app. I don't know exactly which components. Okay, few components A and B. In future, 10 components are there. Instead of putting like individually the stories available here, 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 just make this available to my app, and then anyone can set it or not. One time operation here, you have to make it available to my A and B, like this or not. It's not a recommended one. Now come here. My application is running. Application is running. Okay, let's start here. Now, my React application has to set the data within the store. But my React component here, the problem is my React component directly not able to set the data inside the store. Directly my React component, okay, not able to set the data inside my store. My store, my store directly not allow other person to modify the data or insert the data or update or whatever it is. Modify, simply you can say like a modify data. My React store is not allow outside people. Okay, outside people is nothing but here my A want to set the data, so that one my store treat like a outside guy. My B also want to set the data, that's also some other person X also has some data. That data I want to insert within the Redux store. Okay, that X guy also I don't want to allow. Okay, my store don't want to allow outside people to insert the data within the store, insert or update or whatever it is. So that my store allowed only restricted people. Okay, only restricted people who knows. Okay, my store known by whom. Okay, those people only. Okay, who knows my store knows whom. Okay, those people only allow. Those people only allow to modify the data. So that who knows about the store, means who can put the data within the store means, okay, some of the people, okay, my store knows. Those people we can say like a reducers. Those people we can say like what? Reducers. Okay, now see, the point is my store directly not allow any other person to insert the data. My store directly not allow any other person to insert the data. Okay, who knows? My store knows some of the people. Those people only. Okay, to them only my store allows to, okay, update or more update or insert, okay, or delete the data inside the store. So only restricted people only. Okay, those people we can say like what? Reducers. Those people we can say like what? Reducers. So that now tell me, is my component, A component, can directly set the data? No. Can directly set the data? No. So that some other person come into the picture now. Who is that guy? Directly he is not able to communicate with the store. There has some gap is there. Okay, only restricted people only my store allowed to insert the data within the store or do some modifications within the store. Who is that guy? That guy we can say like a reducer. That guy we can say like what? Reducer. Okay, so that this is my reducer. So this reducer only can update the data. So that to whom my A component has to connect now? My A component has the data. That data you have to give it to whom? To my reducer, and tell, hey, this is the one I want to update within the store. Can you do it, please? Why? Because you are the person can do that operation. I am not able to perform that operation. I am not able to directly connect with the store. My store not allow me. So that can you do one operation? This is my data. Can you update the data within the store like this? My A component has to communicate with my reducer or not. So my reducer, when it is coming to the picture, means if you want to do some operations on my store, then only my reducer come into the picture. For which operations you can insert the data or update the data or delete the data. Understand? Okay, now my A has to communicate with whom now? My A has to communicate with whom now? My A has to communicate with directly store, or my A has to communicate with my reducer. To whom my A has to communicate? My A has to communicate with my reducer or not? Now you can ask a question. Okay, hey, how this particular guy is nothing but store. Okay, how this guy knows about the reducer? knows about the reducer. And one more question is like, how my reducer is looks like. That is only the next questions or not next level questions. Now my component communicate with whom? Send data to my reducer. Okay, now how my reducer is looks like, that is my first question. And then how this particular guy only, okay, allowed by the store. Okay, is there any interlink is there? Is there any interlink is there between my reducer and my store? That is my next level or not? So how my reducer is looks like means very simple answer. It's like a simple JavaScript method. That's it. It's a simple JavaScript method. So that can I write one JavaScript method? Okay, how you can write it? My constant my reducer. Okay, is it JavaScript method or not? It's a simple JavaScript method or not? Yes or no? Like this, in your application, how many methods you can write? Like this, in your application, how many methods you can write? A JavaScript method you can use for to write any functionality or not. Any number of methods you can write it or not. Okay. Here also F1. Okay, I write it somewhere. Okay, here also one more functionality is there. Okay, I written somewhere like this. I can write multiple types or not. Okay, I can write multiple functions or not. That's the same syntax. It's like a simple JavaScript function. Now you can ask the question like, hey, these many functions are there. Only this function only has to acting like a reducer, or all functions can acting like a reducer? Now that is the next level question or not? In your application, there has multiple functions you can write it. Yes, I written like that only. Okay, one is like my reducer, F1, F2. Syntactically, there is no change. Serious, the names are changed. That's it. Okay, now your question is like, hey, three functions are there in your application. Is these three functions are acting like reducers? Is three functions acting like reducers means no. Okay, these three functions not acting like a reducer. Which functions are acting like a reducer means, okay, my store allow which function to modify the data, that function only acting like what? Reducer or not. My store allows which function, okay, to modify the data, that function only acting like a reducer or not. Now tell me which function is acting like a reducer. You created just, okay, how my store, okay, treat this among these three. This is my reducer. How it is going to treat means how many functions are there, it's not a matter. Which function you want me to update the data within the store. First of all, that function has to register with the store. Okay, once that function register with the store, then the time my store can understand like, yes, this guy already registered with me, so that I will allow only to this guy only to modify the data inside my store, inside me. Like that my store can understand. So that you can write any number of functions based on your requirement. Okay, one functionality is there, you can write one function, no problem at all. But all the functions will never treat like a reducers. Okay, which functions are going to treat like a reducers means which functions register with the store. Which functions are registered with the store, that functions only allow to modify the data within the store. Which functions are allowed to modify data within the store, that functions we can say like the reducers. Understand? Okay, for example, I registered F1 with my store. Then the time, who is the reducer now? My reducer is the reducer. No. Which one is the reducer now? F1 is my reducer or not? Okay, here name not a matter. Name not a matter. Okay, you can write any name. Okay, whenever that particular function register with the store, that time that function is turned to be like a reducer. That time that function gets some more capability to update the store. Understand? So I want to create one reducer. Is nothing but what? I want to create one reducer is nothing but has to create like one function. So I created one function. Okay, the next level is what? The next level is what? I want to make this one like a reducer is nothing but what? I should have to register this one with my store or not. Agreed? Understand or not? So that can we create one JavaScript function? Can we register with my store? Okay, come on. Can I create one more folder, new folder? Reducer or reducers? or you want me to write the folder name? How many functions you can make like reducers? How many functions can register? That many functions can having the capability to update the store. Okay, okay, here only one function is there. Yes, one function only the reducer. One function is registered. One function only reducer. Two functions register. Two functions. N functions register. N functions or reducers. Any number of functions you can register with the store. Not a matter. So that can I use like a reducers. Based on my requirement, for now only one reducer is required. In future, multiple reducers are required. Okay, now come here. This is my reducer. Write new file. Okay, can I write my reducer? My reducer.js. Yes or no? Now, how my reducer looks like? How my reducer looks like? My reducer is a simple JavaScript function. So that it's a JavaScript function. Okay, it's not like a component. My component has to what? Has to start with capital letter. It's a normal JavaScript function, arrow function. That's it. My reducer. Okay, the name should be like my reducer, or you can give any name. Any name you can give it. No problem at all. This is now not a reducer. It's a function. When it's turned to be reducer, whenever it's registered with the store, then only it's turned to be reducer or not. So that can we register this function with my store? Okay, how we can register, that is the question or not. Okay, now how you want me to register with the store means where is my store? Okay, there itself we can register or not? Here is my store. Okay, this is the one. Here you created the store or not. So that here is my reducer. Okay, this reducer has to register with this store. So what we have to do? Can we give this reducer to this guy? Okay, that means can you export my reducer from here? Export a function. Still, I can say like a function. Export a function from my reducer.js file, and import that particular function here. Okay, how we can import? Import my reducer from where? From my reducers, my reducer or not. Now I have a reducer and I have a store. Can you register this reducer with my store? Can you register? Okay, this function with the store. Once it is registered, then all I can select a reducer. So how I can register one function with my store? Okay, for that purpose, in your Redux, simple syntax in your Redux. Okay, to register your reducers with the store, we have the method called as a combine reducer is the method. Okay, in this name itself you can find why they said like combine reducer. It's very simple thing. You only said right how many functions you can make it like reducers, any number of functions or not. Okay, one is like f1, another one is like f2. Any number of functions we can register with the store or not. So that, for example, think there has 3 functions over there. 3 functions want to register with the store. First of all, those 3 functions, combine it. Combine it means make it like a 1. Okay, combine all functions within a single function. Okay, single variable. Okay, first combine it, and then at a time can you register with the store. Okay, for that purpose they use it like what? One of the method called as a combine reducer. In this case, how many reducers are there? 1 reducer. If you know 1 reducer, how to use it in the combine reducer, n number of functions are there. Same like this, same syntax, you can use it or not. So combine reducer is used for what? One line answer. To combine all the reducer in a single variable. Okay, here how many reducers are there? Only 1 reducer is there. So can anyone tell? Combine reducer take how many arguments? Combine reducer take how many arguments? General. I want to combine all my reducers. Okay, here how many reducers are there? 1 reducer. Okay, in future, 3 reducers. Any number. Okay, here, generally we can think like this or not. This is my reducer 1. This is my reducer 2. This is my reducer 3 like this. Okay, yes, your guess is correct. But my combine reducer, they expected it something different. My combine reducer take one object as an argument. My combine reducer take what? Only one argument. That is which argument? Object as an argument. Now inside this object, I have to keep all your reducers. Can anyone tell? Inside this object, how we can insert the data in the form of what? Properties. My property is nothing but what? Key value page. So that my key you can put any name. Okay, my key you can put any name. My value is your reducer name. My value is your reducer name. So that here, and I write like my reducer MR. Okay, this is one property. Like this, how many properties you can put it? Any number of properties. One more reducer is there. That key you can put any name. That value is this one, like this you can put it or not. The thing is here key is like what? MR. Now if I put like a instead of MR, can I write like a my reducer? Any problem with this code? No problem. Key you can put any name, but my value should be this one. Okay. Here my key and my value both are same. If my key and value both are same, then that time a shorthand syntax is there in your ES6. That is what you know. Okay, there is no need to write key and value with colon separation. Just you can write like this. What it means, you know. Okay, my key and value both are like same. My key and value both are like same. Understand or not? Now you combine the reducers like this. So can anyone answer? Combine reducer purpose is what? What is the objective of combine reducer? To combine all the reducers. Combine reducer take how many arguments? Combine reducer take how many arguments? One argument. What is the type of that argument? Object as an argument or not? Which take how many properties? Which take how many properties? Which take any number of properties. What are those properties? Those properties represents your reducer functions or not? Your functions or not? Okay, done. Okay, here I written. So all the combined reducers combined and returns in a single variable. So that can I write like a constant all my reducers now. These are my reducers. So that see you combined but not at registered or not. Register with the store. Whenever you register with the store, then only those turn to be reducers, right? So far these are like normal functions only. Just you combine the functions. Now can you register these reducers with my store? Which is the create store method, right? Can we register? So we can register means by passing your argument. This is the way. This is the way we register our reducer with the store, and this is the way we combine all the reducers or not. Combine all the reducers or not. Understand? Syntactically any problem with this code? Now once my reducers, once my functions register with the store, once these functions register with the store, then these functions we can say like what? Reducers or not. Any questions so far? Any questions? Syntactically. You're good, right? Okay, perfect. Now come here now. Come here now. Inside the reducer, which type of code you want me to write? That is my next level question. Inside my reducer, which type of code you want me to write? Inside the reducer, what my reducer is going to do? Can anyone? What my reducer is going to do? Okay, by seeing this diagram, you can say what my reducer is going to do. My reducer get the data from outside person. Okay, my reducer get the data from outside person. In this case, my reducer get the data from my A component, and that data is going to update within my store or not. Okay, the next one. My reducer get the data from the B component and update the data within the store or not. Within the store or not. Okay, if my reducer get the data from the A component, inside the store, which port has to update? Inside the store, which port has to update? Name has to update or not? Name has to update or not? General. Syntactically, how you can do, we'll see later. Okay, if my reducer get the data from the A component, which data has to update? Name. Why? Because that is the Sachin data, name data. If my data, which is coming from B, then that time which port you want me to update? Location or not? Location or not? See, here my A and B send the data to the same reducer or not? Different reducers are there, there is no problem. One is like name reducer, that guy is going to update name. Okay, one is like location reducer, that guy is going to update the location only. But the thing is here, my A component and my B component both are sending the data to which reducer? Both are sending the data to one reducer only or not? Why? Because for now in my application only one reducer is there. My A component and my B component both are sending the data to same reducer. Okay, based on that one, if my A get the data, okay, my A send the data to my reducer, has to update my name. If my B get the data, okay, B send the data from, if I get the data from the B, then the time you have to update inside my location or not. Okay, that means, see here, this is one action to update the name. This is another action to update the location, so that both are like different actions or not. Okay, one action for it, update the name. Another action for what? Update the location or not. Update the location, so that this guy communicate with the reducer, then the time he has to tell, hey, my action is like update name. Okay, whenever this guy is going to communicate with the reducer, okay, then the time, hey, my operation is like update the location like this. These people only has to tell, or no, my reducer don't know that one. My A, which purpose used? B component, which purpose used? Okay, these persons only has to tell or not. Okay, how we can tell, we'll see later. Now, come on, concentrate on reducer now. What my reducer is going to do? Okay, one is like, it take the data. Okay, get the data. Get the data from A component. Okay, think, okay, focus on A. Get the data from the A component. Okay, next one is what? And update the data inside my store or not. That is my second point. So by default my store data is what? By default my store data. By default my store data is what? Inside the store, which data you want me to insert? Which data you want me to maintain? Inside the store, which data you want me to maintain? As a developer, you know, right? As a developer, you know. Inside the store, which data you want me to maintain? Name and location or not? I already told you my store data is in which type? In which format? In the object format or not? In the object format. Why object format? Means here two benefits. One is like we can differentiate the data name. Sachin, yeah, Sachin is belongs to name. Mumbai is belongs to location. We can differentiate the data. At the same time, we can store unlimited data or not. That is the fetching. If it is an array, we are not able to differentiate. Okay, Sachin, comma, Mumbai, comma means what? Sachin is what? Mumbai is what? You know. But how my program knows? Sachin is like knowing. Okay, Mumbai is like a location. How my program knows? The program doesn't know about that one or not. So that, okay, the fetching, the benefits of my object, okay, to store the data is like we can differentiate the data. At the same time, we can store how much data you want. How much data you want. So that, first of all, which data you want me to maintain within the store, that is called as the initial data. Just write that initial data, store that initial data somewhere. Okay, that initial data I want in future. Okay, initial data can I write it here. Okay, generally in your real time, if you want to write one object or constants, all these things we are going to write inside one folder called as the utils folder. Most of the times we are using the name like utils. Inside this utils folder, I want to create one file to maintain your initial data. Okay, so that can I put like init.js. Okay. So how my data looks like? My data is in the object format. My name is like an empty, and my location is like an empty or not. Location is like an empty. So let me give the name here. Let me give the name here. Constant initial data. Constant initial data or not. Okay, inside this source only, all my code inside my source. Now inside my source or not. This is my initial data. Perfect. Okay, come to my reducer now. See, it's very simple. This is my initial data. Initial data is what? One is like name, another one is like what? Location. This one. Okay, now my reducer get the data from A component. Get the data from the component. Okay, my A component, what has to send? Okay, in which format has to send? Okay, I already told you. My A component has to my reducer which type of action? Okay, update the name or update the location. That type has to tell or not, action type. At the same time, not only the type, which data has to update. which data has to update. If the data is not sent from A to reducer, what my reducer is going to update? My reducer has to send my Sachin also. It was 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, say this. What my reducer, which type of code you have to write it in the reducer means this is my initial data. This is my initial data. Get the data from A. Okay, which type of data my reducer get from this particular A? A has to send which data, which type of data? Can anyone tell? First, my A has to send Sachin or not. Okay, then only this guy is going to update. Yes, my A has to send Sachin. Okay, next. A has to send my text box data Sachin. The next one is like my A send the data to my reducer. My reducer has to update either name or location. My reducer don't know that one. Okay, that one also has to tell or not. Okay, which type of action? Okay, reducer, can you perform this action with this data? Okay, which type of action? Update the name. Okay, you can give any type of your action. Okay, name type, that should be meaningful. Okay, my type is like update name. Okay, update name. Right. You can give the type most of the things we are following, like update underscore name. Okay, like this. These two things my A has to send to my reducer or not. So how I can send Sachin and update name? These two values has to send to my reducer. How we can? My Sachin and my update name. How we can? Can anyone? How I can send Sachin and update name? How my A can send? Okay, my A can send in the array format. Yes, we can send in the array format. Then how we come to know, like, okay, this is my value and this is my action type. How we come to know? Okay, it's like difficult to my reducer to recognize this is my value and this one is like the action type. So that in which format is the better? Object format or not? So that my A send that these values, my A send this data, Sachin and update name, send this data to my reducer in which format? In the object format or not? In the object format. So that here my A send the data to my A component. Okay, in which format? In the object format. What is that one? My type, action type is what? My action type is this one. My action type is this one. This is my action type or not? Update name is my action type. This is my action type. The next one, the next one is like what? Data. Okay, which data? My data is like a Sachin. My data is like a Sachin. Okay, this data go to the reducer or not? Go to my reducer. Now what my reducer is going to do? My reducer has to update the data inside my store or not? Already inside my store, which data is there? Inside my store, this is my initial data or not? Already inside my store, this data is there. Already inside my store, this data is there. Inside my store, this data is there. Okay, now this data, this name data has to update like what? Has to update like a Sachin or not? My final output should be like this. Okay, Sachin, my name should be Sachin or not? After performing this action, my final output should be, my initial data should turn to be like this or not? Why is that like initial data means for my next operation, this is only my starting data or not? This is only my initial data or not for my next operation. Okay, so that this is my initial data and this one is my new data which is coming from my A component. How we can get this output? If I give this one and this one like a inputs to you, if I give this one and this one is like a inputs to you, how we can get this output? Can anyone guess? Okay, this is my initial data and this is the data which is coming from outside, coming from my A. If I give these two values to my reducer, my reducer get this output. Okay, my reducer update that value inside my property, which property, name property based on the type. Okay, how we can get it? Can anyone guess? Okay, this is the value is like what? Initial data, right? So you can write like this. See. Okay, use spread operator. This is my initial data which contains what? Name and location properties. Which property you want me to update? Name property I want to update. With what? With this data or not? With this data or not? This is my final output or not? Great. Yes or no? For which type of action? If my action is like update name, okay, then you can get like this or not. Okay, then you have to update like this or not. So my reducer requires how many values? Okay, which values it requires? To update your store data? First of all, my reducer requires initial data. First, which data is there? Okay, if initial data is there, then only I can update which property you want or not. Okay, see, after my first updation, my name has to update like a Sachin. My location should be still remains like that only. So that my reducer should requires what? Initial data. The next one is like what? My reducer requires the data coming from A or B or C based on that action or not. Okay, so my reducer is like which type? Function type. How my function gets some data from outside? Okay, how we can represent how my function gets some data from outside? How some other person give the data to my reducer? Can anyone guess? Okay, through arguments or not? So that my reducer take how many arguments? Can anyone guess? My reducer take how many arguments? My reducer take like two arguments. What are those? You know, first one is like initial data. First you set it. Okay, initial data. The next one is like data which is coming from outside based on their action or not. We can say like the action data. Okay, so that my initial data is this one. The initial data is this one. My action data is this one or not. Okay, once you have the initial data and action data, you can perform this operation and finally you can return this value or not. Okay, this value turns to be like an initial data for the next level or not. For the next level, it's like a initial data or not. Understand? Okay, so that here, which type of code you want me to write? First, initial data I want. Okay, initial data, who has? Initial data inside my utils folder or not? Here is my initial data. Here is my initial data. The init.js. So that can we get that initial data first here? Okay, here initial data is like common for overall application. My A has this data only, Sachin, not initial data. There is no need to send like the initial data. But initial data you can get from utils folder. So first of all, get it. Okay, if you want to get, first of all, you have to export this one or not. So can we export it? Export. Okay, now my register. Now come on, import from where? From my utils. Okay, init or not? Okay, here. Okay, which one? Init data or not? See this. I'm using like export default or only export. Only export I used. So that export constant init data. Okay, export default not. If it is like normal export, then that means like this only. Okay, now this is my initial data. This initial data I have to use here or not? Yes or no? Okay, in this initial data I want to perform some operation so that I can do one thing. This data I want to assign to one variable. That variable I can perform some operation directly instead of this particular one. Okay, just assign this data to one variable. Okay, that variable you can say like a state. Most of the times we are using this terminology. Okay, see here my state is like what? my name and my location. Name and my location or not. Okay, that is coming from where? Initial data only or not. This is my action now. Now, here, what do you want me to write? I have the initial data, I have an action. So that can we update that data? Can we update the data by using spread operator? How we can? Based on your type. Okay, write it. If my action dot type is like update name, then you have to update the name inside my state or not, or inside my initial data or not. So how we can write it? My action dot, see, this is my action, second argument, type. My action dot type is what? My type equals to, my action dot type equals to what? Update name. My action dot type is like a update name. Then the time you have to update what? If my action dot type is like a update name, you have to update your location or not. So how we can update the location? Okay, you can update my initial data is nothing but a state. Which one you want me to update? My name. Okay, how we can update my action dot data or not? Action dot data. Then you can get like a Sachin or not. Now this is what? Updated data. For my next operation, that is only my initial data or not. So that my initial data is nothing but what? State or not. That's it. Okay. Finally, once my operation is completed, okay, how you can give some data back from my method? By returning or not. By returning or not. That's it. Which is the one or not. Can anyone guess? Okay, what my state contains after operation completed. Okay, after this particular operation, what my state contains? My state contains my name with Sachin and my location is like an empty or not. Okay, because you are performing what? Update name action or not. Okay, my state is like a current state is like name and location. You are going to update my name like what? Action dot data. This action is coming from where? Coming from my A component or not. Understand? Okay, now let me ask some questions. My reducer take how many arguments? My reducer take how many arguments? My reducer take how many arguments? My reducer take 2 arguments. My first argument is what? My first argument is what? My first argument is like a initial data or not. My first argument is like a initial data or not. My first argument is like a initial data or not. Okay, my initial data you already set within the utils folder. Already set within the utils folder. Already set within the utils folder. My next argument is what? My next argument is what? My next argument which is coming from outside. Who want to update the data within the store, that guy is going to pass this data or not. Here, my second argument, who want to update this data within the store? My A. My A has to send the data or not. That data, whatever the data sent by A, that is going like a second argument to my reducer or not. From my A, it's going like a second argument or not. It's coming like a second argument to my reducer. So this data coming from outside. This is my initial data. Initial data. So this coming from A, for example, then the time my A has to send what? A has to send my input data is like a Sachin. Okay, which operation you want me to perform? My reducer don't know. Okay, this Sachin has to update within the name or location. So that based on the type, we can write some conditions within the reducer. So that he sent like a name, okay, as well as the action type. So if my action type, okay, my action is which type? 2 values is sent. So that my action is like an object type. Okay, better. You can go with the array also, no problem, but object is the recommended one. My action dot type is like update name. My action dot type is like update name. My state is like what? My current state, which contains what? Name and location. Okay, if my action type is like update name, which one you want me to update? Name or not? So that I want to update my name with what? My action data or not? Action dot data. So my action contains how many properties? One is like type property, another one is like data property or not. Okay, same like this, one more condition is what? If my action dot type equals to what? Update location. Update location. Okay, then the time my state is what? My current state, comma. My state equals to what? My current state. My current state, comma. Which one? current state comma my location is like what action dot data or not. Okay, my update location is my type, then the time what you want me to update, my location has to update or not, so that my action dot data. Okay, finally all is done. Finally you have to return what, you have to return the state or not. Okay, once you updated data is inside state, so that can be written that state. Okay, once my updation is complete for location, okay, you have to update your location or not. That's it. Okay, understand? Okay, done. My action port is completed. What is the next one? My action port is completed. What is the next one? Can anyone guess? My action port is completed. The next one is what? My A has to send the data or not. Programmatically, how my A is going to send the data to my reducer. How my A is going to send the data to my reducer. So go to my A component. Now see, at the time of clicking on the button, see, I have the data. I don't want to show in the alert box. Okay, this data I want to send to my reducer or not. I want to send to my reducer. How we can send to my reducer, we'll see in tomorrow's class. Okay. Up to here, complete from your end also. Up to here, complete from your end also. I will upload this one, just complete from your end. Okay, we'll see remaining things in tomorrow's class. Yesterday's class link and everything is there inside content.txt file. Okay, whatever the videos I get, those videos I can share with you. Okay, some videos they may miss. Okay, I don't know. Okay, you can connect if you pay the fee, then they are going to give that videos and everything to you. Okay, fee is nothing but videos also, including videos.